I call this meeting of the Southeast Polk School Board to order. It's February 19th, 5:30 p.m. Lacey, could we get roll call, please?
Chad.
Here?
Brett.
Here.
Tracy. Here. Bridget. Here. Grant.
Here.
Kelly. Here. Lori. Here.
All right, we have a quorum. On to letter B, agenda adoption.
Motion to adopt the agenda.
Second.
That's a tie.
That was like stereo.
Jinx.
I'll give it to Bridget.
Okay. I'll give the next, Kelly. Chad.
Yes.
Brett.
Yes.
Tracy. Yes. Bridget. Yes. Grant.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Lori.
Yes.
All right, district vision and mission. Is anyone interested in reading that tonight?
Sure. Southeast Polk Community School District will learn, lead, live, success for college, career, and civic life, and engage all students in a learning and challenging curriculum delivered through quality instruction.
Thank you, Mr. Handy. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, moving along here to public comments. I don't think we have anyone here. Do you guys, anyone want to talk? No? Okay. We'll keep it rolling then. All right, on to the consent agenda. Can I get a motion?
Motion, go ahead.
Oh,
I'm not even going to try.
Oh, no,
Motion to accept to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All right.
any questions, comments? Nope, all right.
Lori.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Grant.
Yes.
Bridget. Yes. Tracy.
Yes.
Brett.
Yes.
Chad.
Yes. All right, old new business, letter A, confirmation of next meeting. And I think this doesn't have our interview next week on it.
Oh, the
listed.
25th.
The 25th, but we'll have that too.
Okay, I will add that.
Well, motion to approve the special board meeting on February 25th, 27th, March 12th, and another one on March 26th, 2026.
Second.
Okay. Brett.
Yes.
Tracy.
Yes.
Bridget. Yes. Grant.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Lori.
Yes.
Chad.
Yes. Letter B, cooperative sharing agreements. Motion, anyone?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Be so quiet.
All right, any questions or comments on sharing agreements?
I love sharing.
Sharing is caring. All right, Lacey?
All right. Tracy.
Yes.
Bridget. Yes. Grant.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Lori.
Yes.
Chad.
Yes.
Brett.
Yes.
All right, on to C, Prairie Meadows grants. Can I get a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All right, were there any changes on this? Is this the same,
Just the culinary program being correctly.
the correct amount for the culinary program? All right, any other questions? All right, Lacey?
Bridget. Yes. Grant.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Lori.
Yes.
Chad.
Yes.
Brett.
Yes.
Tracy.
Yes.
Letter D, Series 2026A, General Obligation Bonds, Bond Council. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All right, Lacey?
Grant.
Yes.
Kelly.
Yes.
Lori.
Yes.
Chad.
Yes.
Brett.
Yes.
Tracy.
Yes.
Bridget. Yes.
Okay, letter E, set the fiscal year 27 budget public hearing A.
Make a motion to set a public hearing for March 26th, 2026, for a public hearing for consideration of the public tax notices.
Second.
Thank you.
Kelly,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Chad,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Grant.
Yes.
All right, F, bus bids.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions, comments?
I have a quick question. Have we ever considered purchasing electric buses? I just asked because I heard a news story the other day, and I know that there are financial incentives to doing so, but I don't know if it's a practical thing for our district.
Ms. Ernst, we did actually go out and look at electrical buses as far as part of this bid. I did present it here. There are some challenges with electrical buses, but the answer is yes, we have looked at electrical buses before.
Okay. Do you think it's something that in our future might be feasible, just to move to a greener technology?
It could be, yes, in the future. I don't recall what the pricing was for electrical buses versus diesel. I know some of the challenges before where the diesel fuel was more winter inhibitive versus being prohibitive from a gasoline standpoint. But we can bring those back, and maybe Mr. Kretz can talk about that as well.
Okay, thank you.
It probably shouldn't happen anytime soon, I would imagine, by going back when during COVID and all those ARPA dollars were coming out, there was a lot of grants for electric buses to districts who are interested in starting to switch over their fleet. And so it's something we can also keep an eye on, you know, as different policies and things change as well.
Nope, thank you.
Kevin, aren't you going to thank me for not bringing up air conditioning?
I saw that.
That was funny.
I kind of did bring it up, but
Lori,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Grant,
yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Brett,
Yes.
Chad.
Yes. Okay, on to letter G, wayfinding signage.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
I just have some questions. This is- Can you kind of take us through this bit a little bit? I know there's different prices as far as alternatives and post-mounted and stuff. Is there alternatives as far as like limiting it on maybe not needing as many signs if we just have our high points? Because what I'm kind of hoping you can do is take us through the map of where the signs are at and kind of how we got there.
Sure.
One of the things, and I know you guys are getting tired of hearing about signs from me, but I would like to see maybe some just high point. I'm definitely for the parking lot ones. I think there's good ones, and then maybe some at the main entrances of, as we come in off of a street. If we could maybe lower, lessen a few of them that are inside the parking lot, because I noticed our buildings aren't properly signed. We don't have signage on our buildings. And so I think, and I'm only one board member, but I would trade to have proper signage on the buildings to where people, usually what people do is GPS. If they know they're coming here for a meeting, they'll GPS the address, and if they can find, the GPS will take them there. I'm still gonna say the signs aren't really, I don't know if they're the answer, but I think if we can properly put signage on our, like the district office has, I think that would help out as well. So I'm just gonna throw that out there, but if you could take us through kind of the mapping of where, what would be the most important signs that you think we need and that we could do away with, and maybe then go from there, I guess.
You bet. So on this particular figure here, there are those two particular sign types that are represented, the H1 and the H2. And you'll notice the down in the bottom right in the legend, for scale, the person compared to the height of the sign. So the H1 is intended to be sort of not the primary, I'll call it a monument sign per se, but that would be the type of signage that you would see as you go around the S-curve road and things like that. One thing I do want to note on this drawing, if we could zoom out just a little bit, is right now the H2 figure, which is that the largest monument style sign, we show that in 2 locations, sort of right there off of 80th as well as off to the west. That location that's shown to the left, on my left, the west on the drawing, in purple, that is actually an H1 sign. That's an error. That should have been green. The other sign that should have been labeled as an H2 is the 3 signs that are directly on 80th there, so just north of where the 2 are. Yeah, that one that's shown by right where the cursor is.
Okay.
That should have been marked as one of the purple H2 signs, so I apologize on that. The primary difference between those, the H2s are really intended to be sort of those, a visitor's coming up to the site. That's going to be sort of that large eye-grabbing thing that, especially given the speed of traffic on that road, that it's going to sort of grab their attention a little bit more. Those are intended to be lit monument signs, so they'll have a concrete base, they'll be larger, be lit from the inside, so that day or night, as we have more and more people coming to the site, they'll be able to sort of see, yep, I need to go right to the high school, or I need to go forward and then turn right to go down to the stadium, whatever it may be. So those are really sort of intended to be the primary source of initial direction when people come up to the site. The others, again, are intended to be that H1. It's similar in style, slightly shorter. It is, I used the word monument earlier. This is technically a monument sign as well, in that it does have a concrete base. It is not lit though, so it would just be essentially solid panels on the front and the back that would be appropriate labeled depending on whether you're going towards one side or towards the other side, essentially. And again, those are intended to be that signage that would really draw your attention to the buildings all along the access roads there as we go through. So again, to your point of not having signage on buildings and whatnot, so in some cases, that H1 signage would marry up to signage that does exist on buildings, but in other cases, you're right, there would be a point of indication that would say, hey, you're at the warehouse, or you're at the Steck building, whatever it may be, but that signage may not also be on the front, but there would be something there. That the intent here is to indicate, you're here in space.
Yeah, and I think so 97, I'm assuming that one's gonna direct you into football stadium or high school.
Correct.
101 and 102 are gonna tell you left, depending on which way you're going. One side's high school football stadium, the other, as it's indicated on the signs. And then, so I can see maybe those 3, maybe and I kind of been going back and forth on 100, because obviously that's gonna direct you into the high school. But it seems like we just need the main ones that get you into that location. And then maybe, is 90, is that down by the bus barn?
That
When you
is,
come
yeah,
in?
that indicates, that's gonna direct you to the maintenance shop, to the warehouse transportation facility.
Okay, yeah, and so those are the ones that I think are probably more important. Just once they get here, they can know, okay, you go right or left. That gets you to the building, then the building has the proper address and
The signage on the face of the
whatever we
building.
have on there. I guess that's where I'm thinking of it, and I know it's probably gonna cost similar money, but I guess that's better use of our money, because now we still gotta go back and address our buildings.
Gotcha.
So I'll leave it at that. Does that make sense to everybody on the board that has the vote on it, or?
I guess, yeah, my additional question would be more broad scope. And I apologize for not asking this at the last meeting, but I guess I'm more curious about what the need, like, why did we identify that this project needed to be done? Or like, what were we hearing?
Sure.
What need does this fill?
Well, and I know Mr. Bacon is going to provide a little bit of backstory in terms of how it relates to this project here at the DO, so Kevin, I'll let you.
Yeah, so when the building, the administration building was a project, became a project, we talked about signage around campus. We zoned more than at that particular point in time to the building, to the parking lot, to the lineages and lines out on the side of the parking lot rather than directional signage. So when we talked about the building and district office initially, we talked about these signages, but we pulled those things off of that project to focus more on the building and the parking lot spaces.
Okay. Thank you.
Have we seen a lot of issues without having these signs? Like, are people complaining they don't know where to go or not able to find the buildings?
I haven't fielded anything from parents or visitors.
Okay, so this is just, we did some wayfinding. They came back with the deluxe version. We pared it down to,
Correct.
it's like half of what it was before, isn't it?
Correct.
And a lot of that was taking lighting off signs and changing sizes and stuff like that.
Correct.
I mean, you're bringing this as the recommendation. What do you see as the justification for all the signage, or should we à la carte? It sounds like that's what Brett wants to do, is kind of à la carte, like we want to pick certain ones. And I don't know what that would do to the bids either. I'm sure you'd have to go back and get new numbers, because they might say, well, if you're only going to do a couple of these, we're going to charge you more per sign.
Sure, yeah, from a procurement standpoint, yes, we absolutely can go back, we can go through and you know, the bids were not put together and the documents are not written in such a way that the district is obligated to accept everything that was bid in order to be able to lock in the pricing that we see on this. So we do have the ability at our leisure, so to speak, to be able to go in and sort of pick and choose specific elements. So if there was a desire to go back and say, hey, let's look at something a little bit differently, you know, we really like the parking lot flags and those elements, we definitely know we want to lock those in. I don't want to speak for Mr. Bacon from a procurement standpoint, but I know that the way the documents were written, it's not an all or nothing arrangement. So if there's a desire to do that, we certainly can do that. We could certainly go back and you know, and reevaluate some of those other options. I believe, I'm not 100% certain if our documents are written for 45 days or 60 days possibly, but once we receive bids are valid for a certain period of time. I want to say it's 45 days on this. We opened bids approximately 2 weeks ago. So there's still also a window of opportunity if there's a desire for us to take a look.
So if we, like the purple signs, I would, if, you know, again, I'm just, you know, me, I guess. I'd move 101 back to 100 if it's a lighted, and have those 3 lighted signs off of 2 on the 80th, 1 on Meacham, and then 1 lighted sign over by the transportation when they come in, and that will cover you in getting into the campuses. Does that make sense?
So you're saying the one, so the 3 along,
Yeah, however you put them on 80th, I guess I don't have a preference. I think that's purposeful. I think when you're coming in off of 80th, all right, now I need to take a right or a left to these buildings. What building am I wanting to get into the direction of? When you come in off of Meacham from Casey's, it's gonna tell you, all right, now football stadium to your right, high school to your left, straight is, district office, whatever. And then when you come in off of University onto the bus garage, that one should be probably lighted as well. And then that sends you the direction of the others, which then once you get over there, you'll see the signs. You know, and I kind of went back and forth, like where 92 is, maybe you put a sign there, you know, that kind of continues that path from the transportation maybe. Again, I'm just throwing out a suggestion because I'm the one that voted no for them, so I'm kind of, I see some purpose in it, I just don't know if 159,000 still is what we want to spend for these signs, when I would put the money into the building signs and make sure their buildings are properly labeled, so when they GPS it, all right, we're here. And that doesn't do anything for the people that are coming, you know, that are just, well, I know where Sally's Poke is, but I'm not quite sure where the, so I guess that's my compromise and suggestion. And I can, unless anybody's got a question, I'll call the vote, but I'm,
Just for clarification purposes, and you're right, the buildings are not equipped with signage that calls out exactly what goes in that, or goes on within that building. They are all labeled, they are all addressed, so they do have street markers.
yeah, and I think
so
if
to
someone
speak, on
GPS,
them.
it's gonna take them right to that building, so I don't have a concern of that. I think if,
Right.
for visual though, if someone was just not GPSing and they were just driving around and they're, oh, well, there it is. There's that, there's the transportation building, there's the, they should recognize it by the, I've lived here so long, I mean, I'm trying to look into it as, all right, somebody that's never been here before, but.
But like on the high school, which side, what door do you go in? East side or west side? If you've never been in that building.
Sure. And on that one,
Can actually go on both.
Where's my golf cart to get in the door? I mean, that's a
Yeah.
John if you're an older person.
You gotta
And
call
don't comment on my age.
Never.
and that's one of those things where the signage as it sits right now, there is not something that specifically identifies that this is the athletic entrance or, you know, the primary academic entrance.
Well, I think there is an athletic one. It's labeled down there as,
There is some, but within this package,
oh, okay.
I don't believe we have anything that specifically calls that out.
Yeah, I think if we can get them to the building, I guess that's, you know, that's a win, but you can't lead a horse to drink every time, you know, I mean, they gotta do some, figuring it out on their own, so.
I'm fine with the bid as it is.
All right, I'll call the question.
Any other questions we can answer for you?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Okay.
All right, Lacey?
Chad,
Yes.
Brett,
No,
Tracy,
No,
Bridget,
No.
Grant,
No.
Kelly,
No.
Lori.
Yes.
All right. Motion does not pass. On to letter H. Well, this is a public hearing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry, gotta find my public hearing language. Just to be official here. All right. All right, it is 5:53 PM. I will now open public hearing to receive comments on plans and specifications for the junior high lighting project. Board Secretary, have you received any written comments? I have not. Okay. Is there anyone present wishing to provide comment? All right, seeing none, going to close the public hearing at 5:54 PM. Letter I, approval of plans and specifications for junior high lighting project. Could I get a
Motion to approve the resolution adopting plans, specs, form of contract, and estimate of costs for the junior high lighting project.
second.
Okay, do we have any questions about junior high lighting? No? Okay. Lacey?
Brett,
yes.
Tracy,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Grant,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Chad.
Yes. All right, letter J, early literacy resources.
Motion to approve?
Second. Sorry.
All right, any questions on,
I just have questions about, the teacher time to get acquainted with this and then time to work on it?
Good evening. Yes, that is a good question. We do know that with the new adoption, there's a lot of learning that goes along with that. So along with the literacy package includes professional development. And so there will be an optional day, paid day in July for teachers to get acquainted with the materials. They do have the access to the demo code as soon as this all goes through. They'll have access to that online to build familiarity. And then we do have some training planned for pre-service. Along with that, we have our Job-alike collaborations, and some of our PD time will be dedicated towards planning and collaborating and preparing the lessons for that. And all of the Job-alike and PD will be around implementation of the new materials.
Will the July time and the pre-service time be the same information?
They'll be a little bit different. What we have done in the past is that if you are a classroom teacher and you attend in July, we do want you to come back in August. They'll do just a real quick review of what they did in July and then move into new things. If you're a support teacher and attend in July, then you do not need to attend in August.
Okay. And then we had talked about, I think Angie, like giving the elementaries are getting like a jump start
Yes.
opportunity? Is
And
that-
we are looking and putting that into place for middle school as well, upon passage of the board agenda item,
And
yes.
then pending board approval, will there be curriculum time this year for them to start working on it?
What we'll do this summer is we take for middle school, there'll be additional time because they didn't purchase full 180 days. So they'll be lining up what they want to keep in their current units and what they want to do with the new materials. And then we kind of create a scope and sequence to go along with that. But we let teachers spend a year getting familiar with the materials, and then we'll double up our curriculum time next summer to write the units once they've had some familiarity with what's in the program.
Okay, so hear me out.
So 1 day this summer, 2 days next summer.
Okay, so as they're working through it, is there an opportunity for them as they finish a unit to give them a little bit of time to, like, while they're in it, to like, okay, I just finished this, can they have a little bit of time while it's still fresh to like, okay, this worked, this didn't work, and then, so when they come in June, they can hit the ground running and not be overwhelmed with all, whatever, how many units there are?
Sure. That is something we can look at. We typically have them fill out a form so they keep some of those things fresh. And there is a certain, the way this program is designed is one unit feeds the next. So there is some holistic things that we'll need to look at. But that's certainly, if we get feedback from the team that we would find value in that, we could either line it up with our PD and collaboration. If not, we could plan some after-school type things. But that's something that we can certainly keep on the table.
I just know by June, I'm lucky if I remember, if my shoes are the same or not, and then trying to figure out.
Extra credit if shoes match in June, so
Yeah.
that's
or
a
if you
good
even
thing.
have them on,
Yes.
So,
So, yeah, those are things, it's been a decade since we adopted anything at the middle school, and so we'll be responsive to what the teachers need and what that might look like.
okay, all right, thank you.
All right, Lacey?
Tracy,
Yes.
Bridget,
Yes.
Grant,
Yes.
Kelly,
Yes.
Lori.
Yes.
Chad,
Yes.
Brett.
Yes.
All right, before we move on to topics for discussion, we got a late public comment card here. Ms. Smith Larson, would you like to come up and speak for a few minutes? Okay.
I
Yep.
apologize for not getting here sooner because I didn't know that you'd leave.
Yep.
I
You
am
get-
just here to represent.
Sure, before you get started.
Yeah.
There'll be a timer up there, so you get 3 minutes.
Okay.
If you want to start with
That's
your
fine.
name and address and then jump in.
Okay. I'm Claire Smith Larson. I live at 1200 Fifth Avenue Southeast in Altoona, and I was your boss at Iowa State a long time ago. I'm here to represent the Iowa CCI, and they are very strong on public schools. And so we have a petition, we have a resolution urging the governor of Iowa and the state legislature to fully fund public schools by an annual 5% increase of state supplemental aid, to maintain an income cap for ESAs, to phase out the voucher program, and use funds for public schools only. And we respectfully request that discussion of this resolution be added to your agenda tonight. At Iowa CCI, we believe that every child, no matter their zip code, identity, background, race, gender, or ability, has a right to a high-quality public education. And that means fully funding all our public schools, urban and rural alike. And there are a number of other school districts who have had this resolution presented to them and have accepted it. And so I'm hoping that Southeast Polk would be willing to do that. Who should I present this to? Chad?
Yep. All right. Thank you.
And I'm happy to answer any questions, or if you want to just proceed with the...
Since it's not on our agenda, we can't do anything
Okay.
to act on it, so thank you for bringing this to us.
Okay, and you will act on it at another meeting?
That's something that we would have to
Okay.
discuss as a
right.
leadership team.
And if you need me to be present, you will notify me, please?
We could do that, thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, on to the superintendent's report. You only have a handful of these left.
I was so excited to jump up here. Good news and highlights from the past month. I'm going to start off and talk a little bit about career exploration activities. Next Tuesday, we have the Southeast Polk Career and Apprenticeship Fair at the high school next Tuesday evening. Our college and career transition counselor has been offering and taking people up on one-on-one help with the FAFSA, and you get a free cup of hot chocolate if you take her up on that. Sounds like a good deal to me. And kind of along with that, our students have had opportunities to interact with experts in various fields over the last month, particularly with CNAs, law enforcement, respiratory therapy, CSI, and mental health therapy. Lots of different, wide variety of things, and any chance that our kids get to interact and see if it might be something that they would be interested in is a good thing. Let's see, board visits, our next coming up will be next Tuesday, the 24th, at the curriculum department. That'll be at 8:30 here in this building. I'll remind you of that tomorrow again, and Lacey will remind you on Monday, too. Just a few things going on next week, I understand. And then on March 5th, we will be at the high school. Some good news on the academic side of things. Concerning winter assessments, we have just finished, or in the process of finishing the winter assessment window, and there are many encouraging scores across the district. I'll give you one example, and that would be elementary math. In the diagnostic exams, all buildings and all grade levels scored in the high performance, high growth quadrant. That's an incredible achievement, and that's really good news. Exceptional. Going on with exceptional, we've had incredible activity success over the last month or so. Hopefully I don't forget anybody, but some highlights here. The girls wrestling team, Skylar Slade, was a two-time state champ, and the team finished third place, our first state-level trophy for the girls wrestling program. Boys wrestling, dual team champions again. Traditional, we're off to a great start. They're wrestling as we speak. Well, maybe not yet. Soon they will be, if not. So we'll keep an eye on that. We had one girls bowler individual qualifier that competed last week at the state tournament. And our boys team this week qualified for next week's boys bowling team state tournament. So a lot of success there. The state meet for boys swimming was last weekend. And Daniel Ortega was the state champion in the 100-meter backstroke. And Cale Lincoln was the state champion in the para 100 breaststroke. And Cale also set the state record in that race. So, good success. Band, we're in a kind of a big week for band. The All Iowa Concert Band was this past week, and tomorrow, maybe, depending on the weather, is the Tall Corn Jazz Festival, always a highlight for the jazz band. And show choir, the home rhythm and music showcase, is next weekend. So that's hard to believe that we're that far into the school year that we're having our home show choir concert or competition. And I'll finish with energy savings. I shared this with you, I think, last week, but I just want to underline it again. Our year-end report is back, and we spent less on energy in 2025 than we did in 2024, even though prices went up. And so the efforts that we make as a district make a difference, and that frees up precious resources for the classroom and other things besides energy. So with that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Nope, just thanks to the teachers and staff and everybody for the participation in the energy, because that's a big difference. Do you have the exact number for how much savings?
It's around 20,000, but each of the last 6 months were 20,000 on their own.
Yeah, nope. Wow, awesome. So thanks for everybody that watches their energy. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, letter B, Business Monthly Services Report. Mr. Bacon.
You've got the January monthly financial report in front of you, just going through a few highlights here. General fund is up revenues-wise 2.7%, also up expenditures by 4.4%. Some of the things with the revenue side, income surtax was down through January, but we know the February payment does make that higher for this year than it was last year. Medicaid revenue continuing to stream up, increased more significant than last year. Textbook fee collections are down. You can see that, and also interest income is down as well, with our less money in the bank when it comes to general fund right now, but also we have that $2 million investment out there earning 4% until December. As far as all funds, expenditures for general fund up 5.5% in personnel costs, and as Dr. Halupnik added, for this year, our utility costs are down about 5%, which is great. For all funds, revenues are up 1.4%, expenditures down 4.8%, mainly due to construction activity. Food services continue to lag again when it comes to direct certs for us. That's happened last month as well. Hopefully they get their things together at the State House to get us our money a little bit quicker with that. And then this month, we have also issued our open enrollment and special education tuition invoices to and from other school districts. That is on the monthly financials. Any questions regarding monthly financials?
Nope, you gonna roll straight into the budget?
I can do that.
All right.
As I hook this up, there was some movement with budget for a moment, and then it changed, and then it changed again last minute here. So some of the things you see here were probably outdated, or they are outdated. Mark, can you change that over to, thank you. Great. Going to the slides here, the budget drivers you see haven't changed. We did see the governor's proposal is still 2%, Senate was 1.75%. The House Appropriations came through on the Senate file and made changes to 2.25%. You can see those changes there with new monies. This slide will show you kind of the breakdown of what cost per pupil is and those increases. The Senate file does address the per pupil inequity regarding cost per pupil. They added an additional $5 per student, whereas the other two recommendations did not, or were silent on that. As far as budget authority, those side by side. Our revenue amounts don't change. Expenditures do change just slightly when it comes to 2.25 all the way down to 1.75. I understand the House was going to come out with a 5% SSA recommendation. It sounds like that's being pulled back now, and they're discussing in committee today, this evening, I believe, what's going to end up being a 2% SSA for the year. That's what it sounds like. I know. Mr. Handy, you had asked about what a 1% increase in property tax rate meant. I give you a 10 cents. It makes it a little bit more, a larger number, $285,000. And then as we talk about property tax rate going forward, I know it's been our prerogative, our kind of one of our governing things to keep tax rates the same and not to increase tax rates. You'll see as our solvency ratio has been dipping, I think there's some consideration for an increase in tax rates in the future, and I'll show you why here a little bit. Again, just to mention, as far as the cash reserve levy, we could have levied up to $11.8 million, but we were trying to keeping the tax rate the same, we only levied $3 million. The solvency ratio graph here shows where we were back in 2017 to where we are today. And then of 26 will be even further down. In 27, we're budgeting even further down from that. The IASB recommendation is 7 to 17%, not more than 25%. This is just solvency ratio. This is cash to pay our bills. So we continue to slide with some of the things we've been doing as far as our hiring practices, and also from the standpoint of not being able to levy cash reserve to backfill the dollars that we lost previous years through our property tax rate. This is things you wanted to see the history of SSA. Prior to this year, you see a lot of 4s on the board going back to 2006. After 2015, you don't see any 4s. You see 1, 3, and a bunch of 2s, and a bunch of 100 points to the percentages for some reason.
One more, there was a 0 in there.
There was.
also. Just highlight that as well.
Right.
The underfunding.
So just average over the last few years here on this particular graph is just over 2% for SSA. A reminder on the public hearings and the process here for that. Public hearing A will look similar to this when we present it through our budget tool. Again, just to go through a few things here, let me look back to my notes to make sure we're talking about the same thing. The public hearing A is going to present to us what our maximum tax dollars will be. Public hearing A in the disclosure notices, the tax notices says, if we were to achieve the same and to collect the same tax dollars this year as we did last year, the tax rate would be XYZ. In this case, it's showing an increase of, I can't read it up there. Anyways, it shows an artificial increase of what it might be as far as the tax rate.
15.42355.
Thank you.
Is that the one you're looking at?
No.
14.39.
Look what the audience sees, or citizens see, is a 3.28% increase on a $100,000 home, or 11% increase in their tax dollars when it comes to the $300,000 home, is that very bottom right side. But we know with things like the state foundation aid formula, enrollment growth, growth in SSA, there's inherent increases with that. Akin to, we had a finance committee meeting here last week. Mrs. Ernst mentioned that, the tax rate might be 7 cents or 7% still in the state of Iowa, but when the cost of product goes up 20%, that's 7% more on that 20% increase. So it's the cost of product is more, the rate's still the same, the end result's going to be a bigger dollar amount as far as property taxes. As far as dollars, we are expecting we'll budget for a $3.2 million increase in property taxes. As far as property tax, $3.2 million is a 7.7% increase. As far as overall valuations, remember those things increase at 8.2%. So there are some things that are misleading on these tax documents. We will have people here during the March 26th meeting, 26th meeting, and they'll present what they have to us at that point in time.
And
The member,
they
yep,
will be very angry at us because of the way that form presents itself, even though we haven't increased the tax rate.
correct.
And did we decide if we're gonna do any messaging ahead of time to try to alleviate some of that?
We haven't decided that yet, but we certainly can do that. And just to remind the audience here, the district does not control property tax valuation changes. We don't control the rollbacks, which is the tool used by taxing authorities. And then we don't control other taxing authorities like the cities. It's not DART anymore, but Broadlawns, that sort of thing when it comes to everybody's property tax actual payment.
And even that tool that's going to be mailed out to every taxpayer is controlled by the legislature. It's not
Correct.
controlled by us.
Correct. Public hearing A, again, presents total tax dollars, maximum tax dollars, and public hearing B, which is a normal budget process, controls or gives us maximum tax rate. And the dates there, as indicated, March 12th. If there's something else that changes, but there needs to be before we can make this formal, we'll have a short budget discussion at that point in time. And hopefully SSA is passed, signed, and moved on, and we can move on with the FY 2027 budget formally. Any questions?
On that, the solvency ratio, obviously it's taken a dip. We're still within the range.
We are.
But I'm sure that you've done some projections out in the future, right?
Yes, well, yes, with the idea that legislative proposals may affect a lot of what's happening with that, but yes.
So once that gets locked in, would you be able to provide us with information on what you'd project that to be?
I can.
Because you mentioned, like, it may make sense for us to, in the future, increase that tax rate.
Correct.
Slightly to cover the solvency ratio. So I think it'd be good for us to be able to see, like, what are we projecting that out to be, and
Yep. I'll normally do that on a 5-year projection, so I'll bring that back to the board.
okay,
Okay.
thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
No, just to clarify again on Chad's thing, so when you talk about the tax rate, I know I asked that 1 cent, that was 285,000, and it's 85, roughly 85,000 for a teacher, is that roughly for the,
Average teacher salary?
yeah, for everything?
It's
benefits?
around, yeah, just under 90,000.
Okay, so,
And 1 cent was 28,500.
so obviously that, I don't, when you talk about raising the tax rate for the solvency ratio, does that mean that would be less money on that? Would we actually get that 285,000 if we raised it 1 cent? Say we had to raise it 2, which I think, I mean, I'm not for lowering anymore, and that sounds funny, because obviously, once you're comfortable maintaining something, I mean, we kind of have to pick, all right, where are we comfortable at? So to raise our solvency ratio, you raise the taxes, but do we necessarily get that exact money back?
Yeah, well, I mean, those are levies we would issue to the property tax owners, and we would get that as far as money, correct?
You didn't have a graph on there about our unspent authority.
I didn't, but it's readily available.
And but that's in a better position.
It is. It's in the 17% neighborhood, if I remember correctly. Remember with authority, things that we do in the previous year, for example, at the end of this year, we'll have a special education deficit that will increase our spending authority. We'll have excess ELL costs in which we didn't get funding for that will increase our authority. Assuming that we have increased enrollment, those elements will increase our authority. So we have the increase in that spending authority with unspent spending authority. This year, like we're looking at for 27 for budget, we haven't been able to backfill it with cash because of our limits with tax rate.
Yep.
So that's what I'm trying to get to, is make sure we have enough cash on hand. In addition to some of these things too, as we talk about some of the proposals, you may have heard that there is a secondary certified count date that is being talked about, being January 15th. And the idea there, in my mind, again, in my soapbox, certified counts probably in January 15th might be less than what they were in October 1st. The legislative proposals talk about the average of the two certified counts to base funding on for the next year. So you can see where this is going. It's not helping public schools,
Well, originally it was the greater of the two, and then they changed it.
correct, to the average of the two.
It would not be a might. I mean, if you think you approve usually 50 or so early graduates in November every year, and they would not count in that second count automatically.
Correct. And that's been both the Senate side now is proposing that, and the House Republican side, or whatever they're debating tonight, that's in their proposal as well, their cross-out amendment to that. And certified enrollment, if you talk to the people that are involved with it in any school district, including ours, it's not easily done. There's a lot of back and forth between school districts and our systems as well.
Kevin, do you know if that $5 per pupil that was proposed by the Senate but then struck by the House is back in it at all?
You know, I had that in my notes specifically, Ms. Ernst.
I know you've been watching it all afternoon, taking very meticulous.
I want to say that it was not,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, committee updates. I'm not sure, Dr. Lupnick, which,
Finance,
Fi-
maybe the only one.
finance again? Anything that you'd like to share, Bridget or Grant?
We've touched on most of it through the last two presentations there. Talked a little bit more about SAVE funding though, which I know Bridget had brought up as wanting to learn a little bit more about. And so I would consider ourselves more educated on that now.
Yeah,
But yeah, a lot of it, I mean, we know we're waiting on SSA to be official before we can really dive into too much.
yep. I might have used an analogy about a dozen of eggs costing more at the store, but us not having as much in our pocket to pay for that. But,
It was a good analogy.
thanks.
All right,
Will we be scheduling a safety committee? Will there be
Yes.
anything coming up? Okay.
all right, well, thank you for that update. Letter E, buildings and grounds updates. Mr. Berger? Let's see if I can figure this out.
Well, I will try and keep this reasonably brief since everybody probably wants to move on to the next things.
Here
First
as
of
long as
all,
you
thank-
need us.
What's that?
We're here as long as you need us.
Okay. I appreciate the opportunity to get together and visit a little bit. This is sort of the first, I guess, what I would consider kind of building a ground State of the Union since I had the pleasure of joining the district back in July. I think originally I was asked to speak just kind of on capital improvement projects. I figured you're a captive audience, so I was going to talk a little bit about the good things that are going on in building and grounds. So just wanted to provide a quick overview here of sort of the organizational structure for the Building and Grounds Department. As it sits right now, we have 58 folks that are working in our custodial department, 7 in grounds, 5 in maintenance. You can kind of see the breakdown there. One thing I want to call out here is we have 2 positions that are identified here, the custodial supervisor and maintenance and grounds supervisor. Those are new positions to the district. We've restructured a couple of things, and these are positions that essentially we created to be able to provide some direct supervisory support to those folks that you see below them. Historically, we did not have sort of I'll say a desk level supervisory or management resource for our folks in the field. So that's been a huge help Kim Templeton is our custodial supervisor, and Tyler Ferris is our maintenance and ground supervisor. And having the two of them has been just a huge asset for us. So appreciate the opportunity to be able to do that. The other thing that I called out on here is, you'll see with a dash line around it, is the energy manager. The energy manager is actually technically not a position that falls up with building and grounds, but Jamie Cole, who is our energy manager, we've been working an awful lot with her, and we're finding a lot of opportunities to find some really solid opportunities, which you heard a little bit about before, and I'll speak just a little bit about here in a minute. One of the things, just wanted to give you a kind of a quick understanding of sort of the, I'll say the culture, so to speak, that we're looking to develop within building and grounds as it sits right now. We have sort of three core elements that we have sort of established as the foundational components of what it is that we do in this group. And that is, we focus on service excellence. Essentially, we're in the customer service business. It's how do we improve on that customer service. It's the people and culture. It's how do we engage our employees? How do we keep them excited about showing up for work? How do we provide them with opportunities to grow? How do we provide them opportunities to, hopefully expand their opportunities here within the district or elsewhere? And then the other one is obviously we're all stewards of the public dollar. So that's sort of the third leg of our stool is the financial stewardship element. Just wanted to really quickly call out sort of a couple of things that are sort of, I think we would call wins within each of those. And I do want to note the fact that these, the service excellence, the people culture, the dollar elements, one of the reasons why we focus on those is because we believe that those are elements that can sort of transcend all levels of our group. Everybody has a role to play with customer service in our group. Everybody has a role with being a steward of dollars. So, whether it's somebody at the building level, whether it's one of our supervisors, if we were to get to the point where we were going to sit down and write, goals for every single person in the department, we would be able to develop goals specifically around each of those, again, sort of those three legs of that stool. Couple of things here as far as steps that the department has taken in support of the service excellence. The district is using a new updated work order system. The supervisor, Kim and Tyler, the supervisor level staff have been fantastic with really helping to push this out with support of technology. And we're finding that we've had great adoption amongst staff, both within building and grounds and also within building staff. It is opened up so that a classroom educator has the ability to go in and put a note in and say, hey, I want to put a ticket in because I have a concern about this, that, or the other thing in my space. And that's started to really pay dividends for us in terms of how we respond. We've done a little bit of shifting. I mentioned that we've created those supervisor positions. The other thing that we've done is we were finding ourselves in a spot where our backlog for some of our maintenance, especially with rolling out the new work order system and giving more people access to that, we were running into some concerns with were we going to be able to keep up with backlog of tickets and things like that were coming in. So we've repurposed a position from our grounds team into maintenance so that we have a few more folks that are actually out in buildings, turning wrenches and things like that to be able to help. Already mentioned the supervisor roles and a really core component also of the service element is we're really working on as a group to improve how we're communicating with buildings, whether it's building leaders, classroom educators. We're trying to be more present in those spaces, and we're just trying to make sure that there's a two-way street for that. The people and culture element, again, we've kind of reduced some, or we changed some of those staffing levels. That has helped considerably with some of the staff sort of stress. People aren't feeling like, okay, I have to go, and maybe I'm not able to give 100% on a particular response by having a couple of extra folks engaged in some of these groups. We're finding that people are actually enjoying their jobs a little bit more, which is kind of a novel idea. This next one was, the district has invested considerably in a lot of technology. We have cameras in buildings, we have water leak detection systems, we have, obviously fire alarms, we have systems that control our heating and cooling. So we have all of these different things that are constantly looking at the way that our buildings are operating. We, for a long, long time, on top of those, had folks coming in on weekends, on holidays, whatnot, really just to kind of do a walk of the buildings to make sure that everything looked okay, which is a great thing to do. But it also means that you have people coming in on weekends and holidays, and they're planning family events, and they're planning their days when they should be at home doing other things than thinking about work. So we have actually, within the last couple of months, have eliminated sort of those mandatory weekend and holiday building checks. We get into cold weather, we get into snowy weather, things like that. We're going to change things up a little bit there, but a nice day in May on a Saturday, we're not expecting that a head custodian is going to step away from whatever they're doing with their family just to come in and make sure that, the sink in the bathroom really did get turned all the way off. So we've tried to do some of those things to kind of help with just that general sense of well-being within the crew. We are working on rolling out some standardizations for evaluations. I think that's one of the things that we really want to emphasize is that everybody gets that feedback that they want, as well as they have that opportunity to provide that feedback to us as a management team. So we'll be working within our group and within human resources to really sort of standardize on some evaluation tools that maybe we haven't really utilized quite as much in the past with some of our folks. And then we're just trying to find opportunities for folks to continue to grow, whether it's training or certifications, whatever it may be that helps them experience their role the best way that they can. A couple of notes on the financial impacts that have sort of come or things that we have paid attention to. We did make a change in the way that we're procuring some of our custodial supplies. Historically, the district operated using sort of a consignment method with a vendor where there were, for lack of a better term, sort of par levels set for each building for various products. And a vendor would come in and they would essentially count what we had. They would make sure that we were at that level. If that meant that we needed 2 of a particular widget to get up to that magic number, then they brought 2 in. If we needed 20, they brought 20 in. But one of the key things with that is that with that particular structure, after a certain period of time, we purchased what was on our shelf, even if we didn't necessarily use it. So we have switched to more of an on-demand model. That way we know if we need 500 cases of toilet paper this semester, we're going to buy 500 cases of toilet paper. It gives us a little bit more control over exactly what we have on the shelf and exactly how much of our dollars are being tied up in that product that's sitting around, so or being utilized. Break-fix program, I wanted to call this one out a little bit, partly in light of some of the conversation that took place at the last board meeting. Mr. Bacom was talking about management fund and general fund and some of these other resources. The district does engage in what's referred to as a break-fix insurance policy. We pay a premium for a very specific policy that is designed to help us with repairs on heating and cooling units, on laptop computers, a variety of different things. It has a very prescribed list of things that this program works for. With the way that Iowa school finance works, and you all know that it's convoluted at best, we are able to utilize dollars from the management fund to purchase things like insurance policies. We can't use management fund dollars to do things like pay for salaries or buy books or some of those, pay for the electric bill. But we can buy an insurance policy And then with that insurance policy, what we can do is we can turn around and submit claims for repairs that have been made either by our staff or by outsourced vendors that have been paid for with general fund, SAVE, Pebble, alternate resources. So essentially what we're looking at doing is we're buying a policy with management fund to reimburse us for dollars that have been spent out of general fund. It's sort of the way that, and it's totally legal, all the school districts are doing it, but essentially what it does is it gives you the ability to sort of use dollars out of management fund through that plan to be able to help offset some of your general fund expenses. So we're looking to try and maximize that as much as possible. We're hoping that by the end of this year that we'll have somewhere in the neighborhood of, I'll go on record and say I'm hoping that we have somewhere between $400,000 and $500,000 worth of reimbursable expenses through that policy just for repairs. That essentially means that's $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 that is going back into general fund. So that's sort of a way that we're working with that plan to try and offset some expenses. The energy manager, I'd mentioned that just a little while ago, that we're working with Jamie quite closely. I just wanted to throw this little chart up because Mr. Bacon referenced the savings for last year with energy. Dr. Hlepnick mentioned that we've seen some savings yet this year. One of the things that we did is we worked really closely with the energy manager to evaluate the way that we're operating our buildings, and do we run them as if people are there all of the time? And for a period of time we were, certainly during COVID we did, and there were some of those sort of use policies and protocols that had not necessarily fully shifted after the pandemic sort of went in the mirror. So actually beginning in August, we started to set up some new schedules for run times. And what we saw, September was really the first month where we saw those in use. And you can just kind of see there that bottom line is representative this year compared to previous years. And this doesn't take into account weather conditions and things like that. These are just real dollars spent. But I think one of the key things I want to call out here is just for this interval that's shown from August to December, the district has spent about 15% less in energy expenditures, which for that period compared to last year, you know, that's about $110,000, which is real dollars. And I think we're going to continue to, we feel like we've sort of taken baby steps into this as it is. We feel like there's an opportunity to save multiple six figures or avoid, it's not saving money, it's avoiding expending, or avoiding spending money. So we're going to continue to work really closely with the energy manager and other departments and try and find dollars that we can utilize there. So quick jump into sort of a project status summary. This is sort of the capital improvement items. This is just a quick rundown, so you have a point of reference of the ongoing projects or the projects that are in the works right now. Kind of gives you a quick summary of where we're at with each project and the estimated budget. I'll run through these just kind of quickly, give you an update. The baseball and softball field improvements are underway. Hopefully you had a chance to drive by there before, well, snow hasn't totally fallen yet, but we are starting to see the turf go down on the baseball field. And we've been working pretty closely with the vendor who's doing this project to kind of ramp up the rate at which some things are getting done given the weather. So we feel very comfortable right now that we're going to go ahead and be able to hit the targets that are out there. Current things that are underway, obviously the turf installation. We're getting ready to transition the baseball lighting to LED. That'll be taking place soon. We'll have lots of other things taking place. We have masons on site next week, and we'll start to see the backstop netting going up here probably in the next week or two as well. So there'll be a lot of changes that'll be really visible here, I think, within the next 14 days or so. Transportation facility. This is the new bus maintenance garage that's going up on the east side of the existing warehouse. quick summary there, budget established right at about $6 million. RDG's the architect, Turner Construction is who we've brought on board as a construction manager at risk to help us with this. The construction manager at risk, or CMR process, is a process that we use to build this particular building here or renovate this building. We're still navigating through just all of the steps that go with that. Turner has pre-qualified all of their subcontractors. They're going out to bid for subcontractors tomorrow. So a couple of weeks from now, we will know who all the subcontractors will be on the project. We'll be able to lock in that guaranteed maximum price, which is essentially, we know what the budget is, they know what the budget is, and then we will be working to wrap together the final project, negotiate the final rate that's intended to be less than that budget amount. But we've had some great meetings with them, spent a lot of times walking the site. They're getting ready to start doing some site staging and things like that. So things are looking really, really good with that project. Step a little bit into some of the referendum projects, the junior high. We did ask at the last board meeting for, or recommended that we work with OPN architects on that particular project. We've already started to have kickoff meetings with them. They are starting to work on some preliminary planning, circulation patterns for folks and vehicles, things like that. And then very, very quickly, we are going to be releasing a solicitation for a construction manager on this project. We want to get them on board as quickly as possible so that they can be part of the design process and, bring everything that they can bring in terms of helping to identify cost effectiveness, things like that as we get into that project. And then also OPN is actively working on putting together what we've asked them to direct sort of the public and stakeholder input on this, so they'll be helping to run sessions with building staff, students, things like that, to make sure that what the final product is actually the final product that we need and want. New elementary, about the same spot on that one. DLR is the architect there. Again, we've worked through kickoff meetings. We are meeting with them on a pretty regular basis to finalize site selection for that particular project. Again, construction manager, and that particular project, given the scope and the nature, will have much more involved in terms of the community outreach and the public feedback. And DLR is working to put together exactly what that program will look like, and that'll be much more extensive even than on the junior high project. And then finally, the playground improvement project that was approved with the referendum. Newman Monson is the architect that we've asked to come in and help us essentially develop a district-wide master plan for exterior play spaces. They've completed some of their initial surveys. Right now, they're going through a lot of code compliance and evaluating what we have now and how that relates to things like the Americans with Disability Act and what do we have in the way of universal design. We are going to be having a meeting hopefully next week with district administrators to sort of help establish the guardrails from a programmatic standpoint of what we would like to see across the district. That'll involve principals, that'll involve folks from here in this building, and a few others to sort of help define some of those sort of guiding points. And then we will be out meeting with PTAs, students, community members, staff members in each of the elementary schools, and pulling together their feedback. We had talked a little bit before. The intent is to phase this project. We will have an initial phase of work that we will be doing yet this summer. Scope is yet to be determined. It's not going to be all the really cool, shiny stuff this summer. That's what we're working through as we meet with community members and whatnot. This will be things like making sure that the fences and the green space are there so that when we do hit the ground, we're ready to go. We're going to try and make sure we have, provide more access to students, things like that in terms of space yet this year. So that's also ongoing. I think really at the basis, I think with all of these, I just want to emphasize the fact is that we are really trying to listen as much as possible, and really want to make sure that the decisions that are being made are not being made in a vacuum, and that we're doing it first and foremost for the kids that we serve. So, a little long-winded there. I apologize. Questions I can answer
Oh,
on
yeah,
anything?
I got questions.
Okay. I knew you would.
You talked about the tickets. How long is it taking you to, the backlog of tickets? How long does it take from when somebody submits a ticket till somebody gets to service that ticket and
To get
correct the
service on that?
problem? Yeah.
It depends on what the particular issue is. There are some tickets that can be resolved much more quickly. I will readily admit that right now, I'm not going to quote an average number of days for a ticket response, partly because one of the things that we have been doing is working to better define what is a priority for various things. You know, first and foremost, if a ticket comes in and it's related to safety or a security issue, we're going to have somebody on that right away. If it's related to, you know, an issue with heating or cooling, if it's my room feels like it's too cold and we're able to verify that, you know, maybe the room is consistently running at 68 degrees, and we would like to have it at 70, we'll do what we can to try and provide some supplemental heat. But if we have another room where a ticket comes in and it's, hey, my room is cold and it's 52 degrees, we're going to focus on, you know, some of those immediate needs, or some of those elements where potentially we're going to impact learning. I would say the goal is, the goal will be that we are consistently running less than 14 days for tickets, and much sooner if we can.
So even the less priority is 14 days, or just the priorities?
That's going to be the goal. That's going to be the
And
goal.
what's the backlog on the tickets?
Right now, we have several hundred tickets that are out there that we're still looking to work through.
And how long does it take you to prioritize? What's the time frame of somebody prioritizing what's an emergency and what's not an emergency?
So every day, we have somebody that sits down and goes through the tickets that were placed within the last 24 hours, or sometimes it's multiple times a day. Jamie Cole, the district's energy manager, who has been working with us on some things, we've sort of co-opted Jamie to help us out a little bit, and we've kind of begun to call her our ticket traffic cop, so that as tickets come in, as she is working with us, she is seeing these tickets come in and she's becoming familiar with it to where she can say, hey, you know what? This ticket really needs to get pushed out right now. This ticket needs to go over here to a carpenter, whatever it may be, so that we don't have tickets just sitting there for days at a. We never want to have a ticket that's sitting there for more than 24 hours unless it's a weekend type situation where somebody hasn't paid attention to it and been able to route it to where it needs to go.
What's the expectation on the 200 backlogged? How long do you think is it gonna take this whole year to get the backlog picked up? Or-
I don't think so. I think that as we've begun to really dig into this and as we brought more folks onto our maintenance team, and as they're becoming more familiar with the district, we're seeing them going from being able to complete, 2 or 3 tickets a day to, depending on the nature of the ticket, they might be able to do 5, 6, 8 tickets a day. So I think that as we continue to see people become more and more efficient with the work that they do, we'll see that backlog go down.
Okay. I still have my mic on, so I can ask more questions. I think that it's always been my priority as we brought new buildings online, that we keep up the maintenance. We don't get behind on the maintenance. And I think that that's a top priority, and with you as well. Why have nice facilities if we're not going to fix things when they need fixed and not push them aside until the problem is bigger? So I appreciate the fact that you're here, and I appreciate all the efforts that your team does, and I send emails when I can. Every place I am, I think I was in the high school Sunday, and I was over here last night. And everybody's doing their best.
That's much appreciated.
Custodial,
Yeah,
et
that's
cetera, and I just want you to know it's appreciated. But mainly, I want the priority to be making sure we take great care of our wonderful facilities that the taxpayers have paid for, and stay up to date on those tickets, and don't get 6 months behind on making the repairs when the repairs need fix, basically. I'll quit bugging you now.
No, that's fine, just, if we could just have
You're
more.
appreciated.
Can we just have more money, please?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's no doubt about that. I'm looking at your organization. And I think, obviously, you need some extra supervision. I mean, Lori's spot on. At one time, we were over, well, I don't know how much, over 1 million square foot, I think we have. You know, and to be efficient, sometimes you have to have those layers.
Right.
Yeah, and the only question I have, other than what I'm gonna expand on Lori's comment, is, so you have your custodial supervisor and your maintenance supervisor, and then when you get into custodians, do each head custodian in the building, are they kind of responsible for their custodians in their building, or how do they supervise that? And my only comment is, and I'm just one of those that there's a certain number of people that you can supervise.
Right.
And so I want to make sure that we got enough. Are we overloading someone? Because I see custodial has 58 ground, and we need more grounds people. We need more maintenance people.
Sure.
I'm one of those that, off of Lori's comments, it's like, you know, Dirk's probably going to be glad when he's gone this summer, he won't get those texts from me like, hey, you think they could get over there and mow the grass over there? Because it's looking pretty bad. Those are the things that I look for too, is like, we have great facilities. And when people drive by and, you know, and Dirk's not the only one getting text messages or somebody saying something, you know, I mean, it's like, you want to drive by and you want to look at, you know, whatever school it is, and it's like, that's great. And
Right.
so, it's really all I have to say about that is, I 100% agree. If we can find some more money I think you need more maintenance. Grounds is a hit or miss because it depends on the weather for winter. It depends on how much rain we have for mowing, but maintenance is always a non-stop thing.
Right.
And if we can't keep our facilities, and I'm not saying we don't, because I think we've done a great job over the years with, you know, we've had the budget cuts and we're trying to slowly get people back in places, so it takes time and money and all that. So when we look at our energy savings and stuff, even though we're not paying out, I agree with you, it's not necessarily a savings, it's just we're not, expenditures
Exactly.
aren't there. But with that, it's like, that money that we are saving, I mean, I'll call it a savings, because if you're saving 15% on that money can still, you know, in my opinion, even though it's fictitious money, you haven't spent it yet, but yet you're just not spending it, however you want to look at it. It's like, we've got to roll that back in, and how can we do that? And I think everybody, you know, as we notice, everybody plays a part in that energy savings.
Right.
But I just don't know how you do it with 5 employees in maintenance. So kudos to you guys, because I think.
We've had great people over the years, and I was very fortunate when I had the pleasure of joining Southeast Polk that there are amazing people that are over there.
I guess I would assume something like your head custodians, they try to do the light maintenance things that they can.
They do some of those things, and that'll be something that we'll continue to look at as we move forward. It may be that there are some tasks that it makes sense for head custodians to be assisting with, or others in the building to be assisting with. And there may be some things where, maybe the comfort level, or, we just haven't had an opportunity to maybe train some folks up to the point where, we all know how it is. Sometimes we can, in the interest of trying to do the right thing, actually sometimes make things a little bit worse. I'm certainly guilty of that. But to your point, as far as the role of a head custodian is sort of that the chief of that particular team, but they don't have any supervisory role per se. They sort of vicariously help in terms of, making sure that, they're a primary point of contact in the building for the custodial team. And they are certainly the person that is going to help make sure that things are communicated, that we're making sure that, we're utilizing the right product and the right methods are being used, things like that. But largely because of the way that the bargain units are put together and the nature of the position, the head custodians don't supervise per se. But in most cases, we have found that most of the folks that are in that position are in that position because they're interested in exhibiting some type of a leadership role and utilizing their leadership skills. So we, that's what we get from them, and we'll certainly develop that the best that we can. And
Yeah, I just don't, 58 people for the custodial supervisor to look after, it seems like all they're doing is herding cats.
At times, it's a little tough.
But I don't want to see those positions just be, the watchful eye. So, I don't know how you do that, because it's just, you can't have a bunch of supervisors, but I recognize that it puts a lot of burden on
I appreciate that.
people on that, and that we need more maintenance, so.
Yep. No, I appreciate that.
Another question or comment that I had was, I think that was it, actually. Lori kind of started it, so.
Hey, I was going to jump in. In the past,
Time's
we've
up.
had the energy person for many years. So we've saved well over $8 million since we started. But I do appreciate the savings since you've gotten here. But for the public's knowledge, we've saved in the many millions of dollars
I know-
in
yeah, I know
energy
there's-
efficiency.
Yeah, there have been some phenomenal things
Yeah,
done.
I just wanted that, not for you, but for the taxpayers to know that. So it's going to help pay for one of these buildings, maybe, our savings. Not really, but in
Yeah,
the
would-
big picture.
It'd be interesting to know how much money has actually been saved over the years since a certain retired teacher had started this. Well, I think, didn't he kind of start it? Rod? Yeah. Which, Lori, what year was it? About 2008?
No, it was
Sooner
before
than that?
2008, yeah. Yeah,
But yeah,
it's been, I came on in '07, and we had that right around there, so.
Basically, Lori showed up and
Yeah.
we started, basically you showed up and we started saving millions, right?
Yeah.
I'm a
Get that
money
statue
person.
built then. We got plenty of money to build that statue. Just call it Lori's Energy Statue.
Well, I just wanted to thank you for this presentation. It's very thorough. It's nice to see a breakdown of all the projects and where they're at and the budget, timeline, all that. And also just to hear about the organizational structure changes that you've made, the emphasis on culture, developing people. I think this was a great presentation. I learned a lot from it, and
I appreciate it.
also shout out to technology. Yeah. Because, the tracking system, and I think we talked about it at our visit there, that's got to be a huge help.
It is.
And then also, I noticed that you put a comment in there about technology with monitoring the buildings and stuff like that on weekends, so they don't have to come in and
Right.
do that physically, so
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's great. Family is important for the weekends, and, yeah, I know that everybody wants to be home with their families, and hopefully that doesn't, I know sometimes that causes a friction too. I think it's very sincere of you to do that, and, hopefully that's not a budgetary thing either, because, having somebody comes in there obviously costs us money. But no, I appreciate that you're looking after, stay home, watch that football game, unless it's absolutely necessary to get in here, then we gotta get in there.
Yeah, then, the team will do what they need to do, and then they're fantastic in that respect. That is actually a win-win, because there is also a cost savings that goes with that. you know, that's somewhere in the neighborhood of, and I'm just spitballing here based off of what I recall calculating, but not having the routine weekend and holiday building checks, it equates to, I think it was somewhere in the neighborhood of about $30,000 to $35,000 a year in saved labor, so,
I'm going to tell you, you just jinxed yourself.
I know.
Okay, because most of our disasters happen on the weekends, so.
Oh, I know.
I'm going to say that out loud to you because I do that at the bank as well. You shouldn't even say it out loud.
Oh, I've been chasing those 5 o'clock Friday things for a long, long time now, so, yeah, I know. If you speak it, it will come true, so.
So speaking of getting home to families, is there any final questions
No,
on this
good.
one?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, our last item is the superintendent search update. Mr. Grunmeyer offered to come here, but I don't think that would be a wise drive for him, and really we can just give a quick update. So he sent me some information to share. We have, as a board, we had screening interviews last week. We've narrowed it down to 3 finalists. And they've been confirmed, their formal interviews confirmed for next week. They've also done some background and due diligence, so they've started background checks that include civil rights checks, national criminal background checks, education verification, licensure verification, and also running social media reviews that the board will get access to, I believe, tomorrow. And we've also received some what are called advanced insight reports, which is basically kind of a disc profile with some analysis around that. So really good information for us as input along with what we're going to do next week. As far as preparing for the interviews, we've gone through many rounds of revisions of interview questions. For next week, we're going to have 4 different groups inclusive of the board. There will be 2 mixed teams, mixed interview teams, and one that's an administrative team. And each group will have a series of questions. So we're very close to finalizing those. And what we have on the screen here, we just wanted to share. So the total number of stakeholders that are involved, this is outside of the board, I guess, 61. And if you want to scroll up a little bit here. And this just shows that we've got a really broad coverage, trying to get a lot of different audiences and stakeholders involved. So we have 2 cabinet, 12 building principals, including alternative programs, 6 directors, 20 certified staff, 5 classified staff, 12 parents / community members, and 4 students that are all participating in the interview process. And then kind of the breakdown by roles. I won't read all those, but you can see that we've covered a very wide variety of roles within the district to try to get the broadest perspective possible. So next week, next Wednesday will be the formal interviews. They'll be running all afternoon. We'll probably be meeting late into the evening to discuss the various candidate options and potentially have an offer that evening. We'll kind of see where that goes, but that's where we're at this point. I just wanted to give the board and public a quick update. So, anything else to add? All right, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.